I came across trading, I think it was during COVID time. I was working as like a little shop floor assistant. My wage at that time was around £60 a day. And maybe it was beginner's luck, but I hit like around a £60 trade on my first day. So that's what made me open my eyes like, whoa, I just made like my daily wage. Shortly after that, worked as a warehouse worker, doing like 12-hour shifts relentlessly. During that time in there, I was just constantly looking at the charts and looking to, see how I can actually, make more and more money and make this a full-time reality. Within around 2 months, early 2022, I think this was, I generated around $20,000 in payouts. I think best month I had was around $70,000 month. Nowadays, traders, they like to, or students that come into the game, I think it's maybe because they're coming from like a 9-to-5 corporate job. So they come into this game right now and think, okay, there's like an algorithm they have to crack. And then you see like the likes of ICT come into play. And when people come across that, you got him talking about 100% certainty, algorithm, and all these other things. They're thinking that's the key, that's the holy grail right now. That for me is just a whole load of nonsense.
What would you say, because not only have you been trading yourself and people around you as well, but then also students-wise, what would you say the biggest issue you've seen people have when it comes to trading prop firms?
People overcomplicate, and people are watching thinking, what's he talking about? Overcomplicate? How can I simplify something? Look, at the end of the day,
the number one podcast in the trading space, the fastest growing, and that's thanks to every single one of you. Welcome everyone to the Words of Rizdom podcast. It's still the number one podcast in the world, the trading podcast, should I say. Maybe in the world one day for all podcasts, you never know. But thank you for tuning in. As always, this podcast, we aim to get you the best value when it comes to being a trader, how to be consistent, how to get funded, how to be full-time. And that's thanks to all of you guys supporting and, of course, our incredible guests sharing their journey with us. Talking of which, today, this is a trader who I've been trying to get a podcast with for a very, very long time. And he's been avoiding me, dodging me, flying out, flying here. Finally grabbed him here in the UK somehow. And it's been an absolute pleasure. He is Mr. 300K plus in payouts and a phenomenal trader and journey, nonetheless, that you're going to hear about right now, Mr. Sniper Adz.
Thank you very much, man.
What do you think to your name when people say it, Sniper Adz? Do you ever have people come up to you like, Sniper?
Nah, they just call me Adz, and that came from my gaming background. I used to be a sniper on Call of Duty.
Really? Good
so
one.
I thought, like, let me just, one of the best.
Really?
yeah. So I just transferred all that gaming effort, put it straight into trading, and thought, what, sniper on the market, sniper on the games, put it together, Sniper Adz.
No, I love that. I remember I was a big gamer back in the day. I was never good at I say never. I was decent online, but I was savage at zombies. That was my thing,
Okay.
The problem with that, though, it takes like 2-3 hours.
You have to have stamina for that.
Yeah, exactly. For that. Like, I remember I'd be like in like a savage game. My mum would be like, come get dinner.
Yeah.
I can't, she'd like, pause it. I can't pause it. Please. But yeah, man, those were the days. I wish we could go back.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a good question to start off. It's a bit random. But like, because back then, I'm guessing when you played, it wasn't as like, monetizable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know.
Like you wouldn't probably know that you could be a streamer and do all that. If let's say it was happening now and you were like, gaming, or you could go back knowing it could be, would you just stick to gaming?
100%. I even have plans right now to go back to my streaming days.
Oh, really?
I used to, make a streaming channel and stream to my cousins and what, because I don't like playing on my own. I like to play with people and friends. So, I'm definitely going to get back into it now that I've got some sort of income and I've got my work straight. My leisurely time, I even play, Fortnite now, Call of Duty, these type of games just to, ease off and chill. So, I'm going to at one point bring them together and continue it. That's like my little hobby.
I like that. And now you have the money to make a savage studio.
For sure. That's what I'm planning.
We'll have to, I would say we'll have to play sometime. I don't get any time to play, unfortunately. But I would if I could. But one thing I'll say, we're going to go into your journey. Yeah, but before we do that, in terms of the gaming thing, I like to see like analogies from things that you have experience of, right? In your gaming days, I'm sure were there moments where you would obviously get frustrated, you're trying to pass a level, let's say, or sometimes you're just getting absolutely destroyed online. And you're getting so angry. Was there anything you took from that sort of gaming era that then 100%. Translated to trading? For sure.
Like the whole, I've literally saying this to a few people just the other day, and it was the effort that we put back into the day to be so good at a certain game. We would spend day and night, just practicing. Just to get a certain level or level up our character to a certain level. And I realized, like, if we just put that sort of energy into something productive, we'd level up our characters in real life in some sort of way. And that's what's kind of happened only recently now, like over the last 3-4 years. Ever since I've not stopped gaming fully in terms of like, okay, I've just cut it off and gaming is bad. No, gaming was just a part of my life. It was a hobby. But it showed that when I was gaming, I was trying to be number one on the leaderboards and these prop firms and whatever. So I've just basically translated that skill, that same sort of effort into something productive like trading, like prop firms, like business, like content. And now just putting that same effort into there, become the best at that, and then, make it work like that way.
No, definitely. I love that you actually said that, because my mum said the same thing to me when it came to, I don't know if it was trade. I think it was trading. She basically said like, treat it like the games you used to play.
Basically.
You know what I mean? Like, when you were on a level and you were struggling, you wouldn't just give up. You keep going until you beat that one, and then there was always another one that was then even harder, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of the analogy that helped me to kind of stick out with trading, to be fair, because it was, I'm guessing when I did that, it would have been because I would have been asking her, like, I've just blown an account, or just blown my temp account. You know what I mean? Like, should I keep doing this?
Yeah.
And she would have said, like, hey, treat it like this, have this sort of mindset. And I think it's so important, because if you don't try and relate to other things you've done or
100%.
Succeeded at or done well at, it's like, what else are you going to reference as a trader, which is so different?
Exactly,
right?
yeah. There's so many parallels between that sort of things, like the gaming side, even just in the work life, whatever it is. There's always that next checkpoint. There's always another mountain to climb. Whether it's with prop firms, whether it's with your personal accounts, your own personal, performance, and always looking to level that up. So, I've been saying this to some people, like, guys, there's so many parallels between trading and life. It's crazy. And the more you can relate those type of things, the more you level up, really.
Definitely. Yeah. In terms of trading, like, when did you first come across trading?
I came across trading, I think it was during COVID time. I was working as like a little shop floor assistant. My wage at that time was around £60 a day. And on my day off, I remember coming across the typical Signals member, the influencers, affiliate schemes or whatever. Just joined one of them, and maybe it was beginner's luck, but I hit like around a £60 trade on my first day. So that's what made me open my eyes, like, whoa, I just made like my daily wage on my day off, right? And from that point onwards, went down the rabbit hole, started to go down it more and more. I was working as a shop floor assistant at like 19 years old at this point. Shortly after that, worked as a warehouse worker, doing like 12-hour shifts relentlessly. And during that time in there, I was just constantly looking at the charts, break time, lunch times, and looking to, see how I can actually, make more and more money and make this a full-time reality. Don't get me wrong, obviously I blew many accounts, I put £250 cash in there, and just blew it all, many times. But that was all part of the game, it was all part of the experience. But the main thing was I had the work ethic in me to just keep it going. So eventually, after around the age of 2021, I think, again, during COVID time, working in that warehouse as a cleaner, I just found my edge, bumped into a few mentors, and just started to practice more after work. 7 p.m. I'd finish till around 12, 1 o'clock, midnight. I'm there back testing, forward testing, planning my next trades, paper trading, everything you can think of, because that was the head start I was getting. My logic was to, after the 9 to 5 that you have, to, work from 5 to 9 after that in the PM, and keep doing that. Now you're getting ahead of the competition while everyone else is watching Netflix, gaming maybe, and just chilling out, relaxing after their shift. I'm getting that head start, and I'm, leveling up that way. So that's the kind of logic I had behind it, and that's the approach I had. And alhamdulillah, it paid off, of course. Straight after that, I think I went for FTMO accounts. I learned about FTMO and prop firms, and just went down the prop firm route from that point onwards, really.
What was it like blowing those accounts, though? Because obviously when you're working these jobs, you're not making much, as you said, like £60 a day, etc. So, £250 was essentially, and that's without thinking about expenses or anything. Of course, just say money you're making. It's like a whole week worth of working. When you're blowing that sort of account, what was going through your mind? Like,
honestly, like I said, me working, I wasn't one of those people that was spending a lot of money on useless things, clothes, dinners, and I think basic necessities I would spend it on. But apart from that, I was literally just saving, and investing into education. Because at the end of the day, like, I can go through trial and error, not invest in any education, and figure things out myself. That will take me years. So obviously the basic logic is find someone else that's done it, see if their results are authentic, see if they're legit, see if they have some sort of education that they can provide, what are their success stories like, what are their students like. Okay, let me invest. And I've been scammed multiple times. I've lost, a lot of money to people that were fake. But eventually I came across some, real mentors, real people out there. And eventually it paid off because I learned the content, I applied it, And that's what a lot of people nowadays don't do. They just think it's going to be spoon-fed to you. It's going to be a blueprint that you have to just read and apply. No, you have to put the time in, put the effort in, gain the experience from the mistakes that you make, from the accounts that you blow. And then from that, you'll have your own sort of style, little edge onto it. And then from there, you've developed your own little playbook, your own little system. And now you just keep on rinsing and repeating that and getting as many reps in as you can in that field. Because I feel like a lot of people, like I said, just want that spoon-fed system and think they can just make 100K or 10K at least in their first month, just by trading. No, it's not like that. There's a lot more to it. Yeah, it does look like you're pressing buy and sell, but there's just a lot more that goes into it behind the scenes which people don't know about.
Let's say if there wasn't anyone providing education, do you think you would be in the position you are today?
I think my work ethic would take me to a level where I would be somewhere around this level because I am always looking for that education. And regardless of it, let's just say hypothetically there's no education whatsoever, yeah, I would just be trial and error, because knowing that it's possible is doable. So I'm going to go full steam ahead and go into it, really.
Do you think it would have just taken longer?
Yeah, that's all it would have been. It's a matter of speed. Time is money for me, and I think that that's another concept a lot of people need to apply into their lives when it comes to hitting their goals or becoming rich or whatever. Time is money, and if you're wasting that time, you're wasting a lot of money, and just time doesn't stop for nobody. The sun will rise tomorrow, set that same day. So you need to get a move on. People need to get rich today. You need to hit your goals today, so you can live the life of your dreams. You owe it to your family, you owe it to your loved ones, to the people that believe in you. You owe it to them. So that's on my mind constantly, 24/7. And it's that hunger that will keep you going, because a lot of people get to this level or they get funded and whatever, and they think they've just made it. And that's where they take their foot off the gas, and things just fall apart from there, really.
So when you say that, like, hit it today, well, you don't mean like literally make the money
of
or
course,
hit the goal today. What you're saying is
you have to have the urgency.
Yeah, you have to have it on your mind.
Exactly.
So that you don't forget or get complacent. So I think a lot of people, they don't have the drive, of course, but a lot of people, they have the goals. Yeah, right?
You have to have the goals.
I'd say it's really weird though I say that, because I find myself saying that a lot. Like, a lot of people risk 1%, or a lot of people have a trading plan. But the reality is, when you really think about it, is that majority of people don't have a trading plan. Majority of people don't have goals in life.
Yep.
Majority of people don't have structure or self-belief. And the reason I say that, and I'm not trying to be offensive, because the people watching this, for example, probably aren't those people. Right? And the reason, and it's so weird, because I grew up with this very naive mentality, where I thought everyone wanted to be good, everyone wanted good for each other, everyone wanted to be successful, everyone works hard, and only when I went into like the workplace and met other people, different cultures, etc., that's when I clocked on. Like, I actually wait, no, I'm and not to be ego, it's like I'm an uncommon breed, and then I kept trying to find other uncommon people, right? And to a point where I was forcing it, I was trying to like make people uncommon, be like, oh, you guys, we're chilling and we smoke weed together, right? And why don't we all work hard? Right? I still had that mentality even when I was doing that stuff, but I try and convince others. It just wouldn't work, because you can't force people to be so. They have to be ready for it, and it doesn't mean. And I'll finish with this. It's like, it doesn't mean people can't change, right? Eventually, but they have to change when they're ready, right? So that's what you meant, though. Is like having that urgency day to day. Like every day, you need to have that urgency of that goal, wherever it may be. And I love that. And in terms of education, though, how much would you say? I don't know if you've ever worked it out, but how much would you say you've spent on education when it comes to trading? Between,
I'd say $5,000 to $10,000. I'd say, give or take, something around between that $5,000 to $10,000 mark, definitely. But again, it's an investment. I 99% of people won't do this. They'll see, that course costs $1,000 or $500, $200, and they just won't put that money towards it. But then you'll put that same money into an account, and then you'll blow it, and then you'll cry and be like, yeah, trading's not working out. You haven't even attempted to try and get good at this. You haven't even attempted to go on the route to improve yourself or improve your education, improve your knowledge. So yeah, I mean, that's just an investment. I look at it as, and like I said, I was on, like, at the time, working 12 hours a day as a cleaner. I think it was around 90 to 100 pounds a day, which sounds good, but again, for the work I was doing, it was very, very difficult. So with that in mind, but then also having the discipline and the control to not spend it on those days I was off and just enjoy it so much, I was really disciplined in keeping every penny penny pinching to an extent, and just really putting it straight into the prop firms, straight into the challenges, into education, and basically that paid off. And I think that's another thing that people don't see. I see a few comments here in other videos, people saying to me that, he's come from rich parents and things like that.
I was about to say, I was thinking, should I say this to him? Yeah, because I was going to laugh, because I was like, wait, you work this job, but everyone says that you came from rich parents and you had all these
so
fancy
twisted.
cars and all this.
No,
Where does that even come from?
that's just a result of my hard work now,
Yeah.
and people just don't even care to do their homework and look backwards, in the timeline.
Mhm.
I'm literally like everybody else probably watching this, and the average person that was been working at 9 to 5. I mean, from the age of 14, 15, I was doing paper rounds for my local news agents. I worked in a call center at 16 till about 18, shop floor assistant, warehouse worker. I was doing 9 to 5 jobs. On the side of that, I was looking at the Amazon FBAs, the Shopify's,
Mhm.
dropshipping, all these other things, because I always had that hunger to make a living from another income. But eventually trading is what came on my plate, and I just took that with both hands, the opportunity.
I love that. The misinformation of social media.
I swear.
Does it make you laugh?
I just look at my brother and be like, look at this comment, and I just just laugh at it.
You wish.
Yeah.
You wish you had that growing up. That would be great.
I swear.
Oh, man. Nah, I find it funny. You know, like, I used to see this stuff, you know, when I was coming up as a trader, or generally on social media, you'd look under people's comments and there'd be someone saying, like, oh, this guy's lying. He came from this, or he actually did
so-
that. And I used to be like, oh, maybe, it must be.
That's
This
the
guy
only
must
way.
be his school
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
right? That's what he's saying. He knows him personally. It must be him, right? Then obviously being in the space and,
Yep.
and growing the way I have and all the comments that I get, then I'm like, people have no idea what
No
they're talking
idea.
about.
Zero idea.
It's so funny. It makes me laugh most of the time,
Yeah.
honestly. It makes me laugh. I'm like, how did they think of this?
It's
Like,
entertaining.
this is great. If they put that energy into like being a comic book
Imagine.
writer or something, yeah, they'll be famous.
Yeah, exactly. Then
You-
maybe they'll get those comments and then laugh at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
swear.
yeah. That's the funny thing. I think people don't get it until they're in that position, and I think that's
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
when it comes to trading, right? In the sense of especially profitable traders, when they say stuff like, "Oh, it's not easy," but when they say it's like, "Keep it simple," or risk this much or trade this much, and people are like, how can you make money trading twice a month, let's say,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or how can you make money if you're risking 0.5%, for example, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, well, they say it because they've done it, right?
Exactly.
And yes, to you it's ludicrous because you haven't done it yet. But once
Mhm.
you do it, it might not be the exact same,
Yep.
but there'll be something that you say
That
and
aligns.
believe,
Yeah.
and someone else is gonna be like, that can't happen.
Mhm.
Right. For you though, like when you were coming up in your journey, what was one of the hardest things you had to overcome? Let's take a break for a minute, guys, because I want to tell you about the #1 prop firm in the world, and that is Alpha Capital. Let's get straight to the point. You want a prop firm that consistently pays out, that has its own strong infrastructure, meaning its own technology and its own brokerage, which means that you get the best platforms to trade on, as well as having institutional experience as its founders and leaders. Now, let's just quickly look at the Discord here for the payout proofs. You're talking 6 payout there, 7 payout there, first payout. Look at all these payouts in the Discord. Make sure you go check that out. Now, you can get 20% off all your challenges with Alpha Capital using the code RIZ. That's capital RIZ. 20% off thanks to the podcast and thanks to Alpha Capital. Go secure your challenge today. Now, Alpha Capital has also joined the future space. Alpha Futures has launched and is here today. Now, they are revolutionizing the space by offering the very best drawdown in the entire industry, including the 100K accounts and 150K accounts that they offer, and that's at 4%. Absolutely insane. On top of that, Alpha Futures does not trail your equity high or low for the day, meaning that if a trade goes back to break even, you do not have a chance of losing your account because of that. That's thanks to Alpha Futures. On top of which, they have no buffer zones or 60-90 rules on withdrawals like other prop firms in the future space have. Alpha Futures is here to revolutionize the space with the same team behind Alpha Cap. So make sure you use my code again, RIZ, all capitals RIZ, for 20% off your futures challenge. The links for both the cap and the futures will be in the description below. Check them out. Secure your challenges with the very best. Alpha Capital and Alpha Futures. Now let's get back to the episode.
It was honestly when I would blow the account, like I said, I came from seeing a lot of red on my screen. I had no discipline to a point where I would just wake up on my phone sideways on the bed trading. I traded with no stop loss at the start. I remember that was a strategy I heard that people were telling me, oh, the banks can see your stop losses, so don't trade your stop loss, things like this. So I came from blowing accounts, losing a lot of money, and that pain is something that's not replaceable. It's not something you can teach. So the thing that helped me the most was whatever hunger I had inside me then to become successful and to keep going. That was the hardest sort of obstacle. When I'd blow the account, okay, I've got no money now what do I do? Look around, okay, you need to make it happen. You need to really roll that 6, as I say, and make it happen and hit that home run again. So I think that was the most difficult obstacle, just seeing that account blown, seeing you lose so much, weeks of hard work. Maybe it could be you could have been following some sort of plan, but it takes one trade to lose it all. And that one part of the being ill-disciplined can cost you weeks and months of work. So that, in a sense, is the most difficult time that I had. Coming fresh out of the warehouse, thinking, okay, I just passed a demo account on FTMO, I can do this. I remember then dedicating 7-8 hours of the day to trying to trade on my FTMO $10,000 account, and then I blew it literally within 2 days. I'm thinking now, I didn't think this would happen. I didn't plan for that, but it was the adversity, it was the belief in myself that I had to overcome that and just continue. I think that's what separates the boys from the men, really.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they just blow the account. Okay, let's go back to the job and think, leave trading alone, and I'll just stick to this because it works better.
What change do you think you made though? So that you were blowing it and you had the belief to keep going, but what change did you make so that you weren't blowing it anymore?
So, in terms of the actual performance-wise, honestly, it took me many losses. A lot of times I'd blow, okay, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to risk 3% on a trade again. I'm never going to revenge trade. The next day I'd revenge trade. Yeah, I'd blow that account multiple times. It took me it's repetitions. The same way you get good at something by repeating a process over and over. Yeah. It sometimes takes, for me, I'm one of those people, I'm very stubborn, but it takes me sometimes a lot of lessons to learn something and then understand to never do it again. Okay. So that was what it was for me. I think it was a repetition of those bad habits, coming into practice multiple blowing accounts, that made me picture, okay, at one point I just stopped. I thought, this is not
Is it that saying, there's a saying which goes along the lines of when the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same, then you'll change. Yeah. Yep. That was the same with me. No, I literally I have notes in a journal, because I used to journal like a diary basically. Right. And I'd blow an account and I'd write you stupid motherfucker, you've blown this account, you idiot, change this, you need to do this and this. Yep. And then the day after I'd write the same.
Exactly.
You've done it again. And I'd write those. I'd literally write with my hand look at the page yesterday. You know what I mean?
Look left.
Exactly. And it's so cool to hear. But obviously you made a huge transition from there though, because obviously you went from that. Was it when you had that realization and that sort of switch in the mindset, from there, what was the scaling like? Was it quite instant, or was it more of a scaling period?
My journey when it came to funding was, I had, first of all, traded demo accounts. A lot of people hate on demo accounts. I don't know why. This is something that was my playground. This is my practice area to get used to the platform, first of all. Get used to managing risk and seeing how I could, trade with it. Even though I was brand new to it and I had no emotions, there's something there with the demo account when you're seeing the trade in profit or in drawdown that will have you somewhat emotionally attached to it, because that's potentially real, right? Did demo account for a little bit, moved on to a 10k FTMO, passed that very quickly. Lost that 10k FTMO, but because I'd saved so many expenses, so much capital for around 6 months of expenses from my job, I was comfortable. It didn't matter to me that I blew that 10k FTMO. And shortly after that, I just went for a $100,000 My Forex Funds account. Got funded with them within around 2 months, early 2022, I think this was. I generated around, I think it was $20,000 in payouts. So on top of the expenses I've already saved, I think that in its own, those 2 months that I made those payouts was roughly around a year's worth of salary for me of the warehouse. So I just saved myself a lot of time there. Again, time is money, so that's how I viewed it. And then from there, I was just trying to scale as much as possible. I went from 100k My Forex Funds to, I think altogether got 600k funded. I lost a couple of that, a bit of that funding halfway through it, but that was in the summer of 2022, 2023. It's a bit of a blur because, it's been so locked in. When you're so locked in, you kind of lose track of time. You just start and you forget about the timeline. You just keep working. But overall, when I realized I could pass a $10,000 FTMO, it's just a percentage game. Yes, the numbers are going to be psychologically a little bit more challenging, but I just went to the 100Ks and I never looked back from a 100K really from that point onwards. The only challenges I took from there were 200K, but the payouts I was getting is it wasn't insane to the point where I'm at right now. It was more sort of gaining around 2%, 1 or 2%, securing that for payout, doing that a couple of times and then maybe blow the funded account. So it wasn't massive profitability. It was just a little profitability, but still profitable. But then I bumped into you guys at the SFT event in Nottingham over here, and being around like-minded individuals and people that had been in the space like yourself, and seeing the numbers that people were doing around me, I was like, okay, something's got to change, something's got to give, and that's the risk. The same sort of risk I took by going into this game and maybe saving on.
What were you risking before?
Very small, 0.25, 0.5%. I was thinking of something as in I know it might work different for a lot of other people, but my strategy was high win rate, lower risk to reward. I went down the rabbit hole of the SMC ICT, which we'll get into later, which actually made me very unprofitable for a long time. But then I kind of came back to my original roots, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. They'll start off with something that's profitable, they'll go down something else that's, seen as on social media as super profitable and amazing, super high risk reward, only for them to come back down to their roots and then continue back where they left off. So yeah, for me, just being around, other people and people that had already been big in the space, I understood that, okay, I have to up my risk of somewhat. I spoke with a few people as well online who'd been there, done that. And that was basically the giving point, just to actually risk more. Because at the end of the day, I feel like in business and in life in general, the risk part of things is just something you can't escape. Mm-hmm. You can't really just dodge that. I mean, you can try and go for that low risk to reward and higher risk to reward and a smaller risk. But then you're going to have to make sure you don't, miss those sell limits, buy limits. You're going to have to be present for those trades when they're presented. And you have to execute on every single one of them, just in case you miss that one. Let's say you have 10 trades right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you just miss that, if you've lost for 5 trades and the 6th one should make it all back. If you miss that 6th one, now you're potentially on a losing streak for another 4 more trades. Yeah. So that for me just wasn't something I was happy with. I don't like seeing red on my screen. I like seeing blue. And getting that confidence under your belt, I think, is one big thing a lot of traders miss out on. I think a lot of people that jump from beginner stage straight to that high risk to reward and super profitability. My friend, just get some wins under your belt, get that confidence, see blue, and build on that later down the line. Yeah. And refinement-wise, a lot of people, they'll try and go down that high risk to reward route again, making their stop loss smaller, take profit bigger. When sometimes refinement can just come in the sense of looking at your journal and understanding which trade you're more selective over. So instead of trading 5 days of the week, try trading 2 days of the week, and those 2 days could be the days you're most profitable on, based on 6 months worth of data. Maybe taking trades with higher risk but taking them less frequently, things like this, right? That's another side of refinement I think that's not touched upon in the space. A lot of people just try to think refinement, smaller stop loss, bigger take profit, and that's what can lead to people burning out and really rage quitting, really.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And let's go into your sort of like journey in terms of strategies. Like, I know we talked about education wise. Like, were there certain styles that you learned along the way that were maybe different to each other? Yeah.
So initially, my strategy was very simple when I first ever started. I bumped into, luckily, a mentor online on Telegram. I was in multiple group chats at the time. Just saw somebody showing off their screenshots, showing off some pivotal points that they were taking trades off. So that for me made some sort of sense, right? And decided to go down that route. Invested something like $500 to that mentorship, and that was just basically structure and trending environments and Fibonacci. They're like my bread and butter, support and resistance as well. So Fibonacci, structure, and support and resistance. They were my bread and butter. So when I understood what an uptrend is, what a downtrend is, and how to catch part of an uptrend, how to catch part of a downtrend, and not to trade in a consolidation, that was all I really needed. But to build on that, that's when I went down the route of bumping into Lambo Raul, my mentor, and that's what opened my eyes into more the supply demand, support and resistance side of things, and more sort of just making trading into a business. That was like the biggest plus point for me, taking on that sort of education. And that was basically the strategy. I was going down supply and demand, trading on a intraday sort of perspective rather than scalper. And that was basically the change that I looked at.
Nice. Nice. And then when was the SMC period there? What made you go there?
So I started off initially as the market structure sort of specialist I was. And then a few people told me, I think it was online, group chats, and this is another thing that helped me so much with my profitability, leaving every single group chat, leaving every other social media thing, literally just focus on myself. It's just you and the markets. That's the beautiful thing about this game. You don't need no extra noise. You don't need to know what trade he took, because, you'd be on the group chat as a beginner, and then you're seeing, Mr. Gold Sniper 3000 making, 40K in one trade, and you don't know if that's legit or not. So as a beginner, you think that's legit, and you think you need to get to that level. So then you start, risking high and try to compete. I left every group chat, and I think it might have been when I joined. I think I didn't leave every single one. I had like 1 or 2 left. I thought, okay, these are legit ones. Them seeing people, oh no, your risk to reward is too low. You're not going to be profitable if you keep this up. You need to go for a high risk reward, and that for me made sense to me. Obviously as a beginner, but that's what messed me up really, honestly, where I was forcing it. When you're not something, I think that's my biggest takeaway. A lot of to my students, I say this to them. I say, find out what your trading personality is. Are you someone that can consistently handle taking 5 or 6, 7, 10 losses just for that 11th trade to be the winner and make it all back plus a little bit more? If so, fantastic, great. I know of some very good SMC traders, ICT traders, whatever you want to call them, and they keep that up. That's something they can do. Their risk appetite allows them to do that, okay? But the majority of people, they don't like that route, in my opinion. Me for sure, that was the perspective I came from.
It's not even that they don't like it, is that they They don't realize that they can't handle that.
Basically, yeah.
Like they like it in their head.
In their head, they like it looks good.
But their personality
appealing.
doesn't match that,
Exactly
what you explained.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing that, I thought, you know what, let me be true to myself initially, and understand that, okay, you know, my style is high win rate, maybe bigger stop losses, smaller take profits, not negative risk to reward, just smaller than a 1 to 5 or a 1 to 4. And once I've, you know, secured that higher win rate and I've got a system in place like that, later down the line, you will find that the risk to rewards tends to, you know, increase in your favor. So that was it for me. The SMC route, it was just online noise, presence, social media. And again, you'll see all these online sort of gurus, you know, just going into backtest mode, replay mode, doing these models and catching a 1 to 25.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, my friend, that's hypothetical. That's, you know, in hindsight. In live market conditions, it's a whole different game.
What do you think to backtesting?
Backtesting is something that you shouldn't get so attached to. I think a lot of people need to understand that, like my perspective is, why do you think so many unsuccessful traders are so obsessed with market analysis? It's because they love the certainty that it gives them, market analysis, when that really doesn't exist in the markets. There's no certainty. You should never speak in certainties. It's all probabilities, and it's all a game of, like I said, probabilities and chance. So whenever you start to become arrogant or complacent and start to think, because it's done X, Y, Z, it's going to 100% do this. No, it's not. The outcome of a trade is unknown and unknowable. That's what Mark Douglas says, and ever since I've listened to that, I've lived by that. And you can have one confluence, you can have 10 confluences. The trade idea with 10 confluences can lose, right? And people don't understand this. You can have multiple confluences, and the trade idea with one confluence can win. But like, I can close my eyes right now, and I can have a chance and buy or sell. I have a 50% chance of winning. So what your edge does is simply give you the perspective that, okay, if I was to take these specific trades at a specific time within a specific session on a specific pair and did this like a robot, whether it's a break and retest play, Fibonacci trade, or a support resistance play, whatever it might be, if I was to execute this, right, then over a series of trades, I will be profitable. You don't know after 100 trades if trade number 14, 25, 75, 33 are going to be profitable or they're going to be winners. You just know that if you were to execute all of them based on the rules that you apply and have, very simply, the majority of them should be winners, or if not a majority, then overall at the end of that you should have a profitable, P&L basically from there.
In terms of just going back very quickly, in terms of going from SMC ICTs back to your roots, did you struggle during that period at all to sort of go back?
I lost 600k in funding with my Forex funds at the time, yeah. And that's what, because I again, it's social media. Put all your funded accounts on a copier and trade, and you'll make stupid money. That for me was the biggest mistake that I made, I think, because as of right now, I'm funding around $1 million in funding, and I keep every account separate. And that for me has given me a peace of mind, because if I blow one account, I've already got 2 or 3 accounts there, and a 200k account isn't something small. It's it's pretty big, and just going down that route again, ICT SMC. What brought me back was just the fact that I evaluated. Finally, I journaled for one time in my life, and I understood that.
Oh, did you not?
Yeah, I wasn't journaling like that. I was trying to keep track of it like manually, but I wasn't doing that well with that. But I came back to manual journaling recently. But again, journaling was one of the biggest game changers for me. When I understood that, okay, I used to look back on Telegram. I used to have a channel, just myself, my brother, and my dad. We used to trade a lot.
I remember you saying.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. So yeah, we used to just this is when we were both like not profitable. All of us not profitable, just trying to get into the trading space. No Netflix. We'd come downstairs, take the TV off everyone, connect the laptop to the TV, back test, forward test, trade ideas, everything, the whole lot. But when I realized that, okay, wait, we used to send our trade ideas into a Telegram group, and look back at my old trades, scroll back, I was like, wow, this is a simple trade. Why don't I take these trades anymore? It wasn't the systems change of the market. I just simply scrolled up. All I had to do was scroll up and look at my old trades, and I realized, okay, that risk to reward was a 1 to 2. Why am I trying to go for 1 to 5s right now and trade off this once clean order block? That's not me. I trade off support resistances. I trade with Fibonacci. I trade with a trending environment or a consolidating market on the 4 hour, for example. And I just catch moves. I don't need to catch the whole move, just a piece of it. And when I evaluated that and I found that perspective, when I just look back, that's what changed the game for me, and I just really implemented that from that point onwards.
What I was saying though, did you find any struggle going back, or was it like?
No, it was very easy to me because it was so simple. My approach from the start, that's what the beauty of my system is. It's so simple, and people don't understand this. And
so you're able to just ignore like,
let's say
your resistance was there, but you're
yeah.
like, there's a fair value gap or order block.
Forget that. It's just well, I mean, to an extent now, I kind of have now combined my. There's a sort of silver lining in there. There's like a blessing in disguise to an extent. Although it made me lose a lot of funding, and I lost a lot of funded accounts from that. I did see something in there which I could implement into my original style. Me blending them together, it came up with the perfect solution. I don't see many people doing this right now. Mixing retail concepts and ICT, SMC
I think
concepts.
key levels are the best.
Yeah,
they're so easy.
Yeah, exactly. They're so easy to plot.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I look at it as a point now where like, at the end of the day, you are selling from a resistance of some sort, and you're buying at some sort of a support. Nowadays, traders or students that come into the game, I think it's maybe because they're coming from like a 9-to-5 corporate job or something, and back in the day they may have had some sort of like a blueprint to follow or a formula. So they come into this game right now and think, okay, there's like an algorithm they have to crack. Yeah. And that's where Mr. ICT comes into play.
It's because it's like marketing as certainty,
Yeah.
Or as close to certainty as possible, because this is real and this is how everyone, this is how the banks and the markets move.
Yeah.
Because of that narrative, I think it feeds into what you were saying earlier about certainty.
And then you see like the likes of ICT come into play, and when people come across that, and you got him talking about 100% certainty algorithm and all these other things, they're thinking that's the key, that's the holy grail right now. And that for me is just a whole lot of nonsense. Like what he's saying and the way it's portrayed in the industry, where like, okay, the banks are looking at this order block and they're trading off this specific thing. Personally, I think it's fundamentals and just not really buying pressure from retail traders like us, but just some larger institutional input from there. I don't really think it's an order block or an FVG or a breaker block that's moving the markets. I just think that's a marketing term that the likes of ICT and other people have put in there. Like for all I care, they could be called like, I don't know, apples, oranges and bananas, right? And that can actually have the same sort of effect. It's just these crazy terms that people like to use. And again, it gives them that certainty and that belief that it's going to work out. And then eventually when they can't stick to that sort of system, they just fall back to something where it's as simple as support or resistance, supply and demand. And when you mix that in with the likes of other things like order flow and AMD, if you want to call it, you can come up with something very, very nice. And that's what I think I've developed over the years. And that's what's worked for me the most, I think.
I like that. I know there'll be some people who are a bit annoyed, right? For whatever reason. They can't handle someone else's opinion.
Yeah.
It's always so weird.
I know.
Some people, you know what I get? It's so weird. Like, I get attacked by everyone, right? Not all the time. Like the supporters are way more, of course. But like when I get attacked though, it's always so funny. I could literally get 2 comments, right? At the same time. One would be like, you love ICT, all you have is ICT people. And the next one could be like, you fucking hate ICT, all you ever do is bash ICT. I'm like, listen, I don't do anything. Yeah. I just sit there and I barely even talk. I just ask questions. Yeah. But I don't mind. I don't care. But I find it funny.
Yeah, I've never even watched an ICT video once.
I've watched 3 or 4. I don't think he's a
foot like from start to end.
No, just like video. Like it was one of his YouTube videos, so they were only like 20 minutes. Okay. I don't have the attention span for anyone, not just him, anyone. When it comes to like hour-long videos and stuff. Yeah. Which is funny because I run a podcast. Most of the videos are hour plus. Funny thing though, podcasts I can listen to. I don't know why. Yeah. I like watching them more than anything, even though if it's just like this, but 2 people are talking, there's nothing to see. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just because it's so casual. I don't know. Yeah. But the weird thing with him is like he's definitely had a huge impact. Like there are a lot of people who are profitable, like JCap for example. Like these people are profitable using those concepts. But I think he's a shit teacher, and I don't know how people might take that.
I don't know how people can learn from him.
Yeah,
I learned from like a few people. One of them called Simplify ICT. Simply the name Simplify
That's a great
name. And a few of the like people that just simplify ICT really, and that's it really. And I think those like super long form content that he's producing, I don't know how people can watch through that. And
I think he's smart, man. I've got massive respect for him in terms of like, in terms of the way he's marketed his concepts and taught. Even though he's done it in a way which I don't think a lot of people can learn from in an easy manner. And yes, some people can argue it's not meant to be easy, which is fair. Okay. Cool. But it just shows that people really struggle to learn it, but they still will sit there and listen and watch it because they just literally believe every word that he says, which fair enough.
It's that perspective, I think, of believing there's a blueprint behind this whole thing.
Yeah. And it comes back to that.
Yeah, it comes back to that. And I think that's what hooks everybody. And I think that's what gets, the short form content that's out nowadays. That's what gets it the loads of clicks and gets influencers selling a lot of courses and things like that, because it's just that ideology behind it, that there's a key to the algorithm, to this markets. When in reality, it's just between you, the markets, you being able to control your emotions and impulsivity in the markets, and just being composed and executing based on the system you've already made for yourself that you're comfortable with. And for me, in that case was a higher win rate and a lower risk to reward. Executing that, I've never been happier trading. It's just been that simple for me, and I've enjoyed it in the process. That's the other thing. It's not that I love trading to an extent where I like watching candles. I just like the challenge. I like waking up and seeing gold that I trade right now. I literally stick to one pair, one session, a couple time frames, and that has been the biggest game changer for me as well. Another thing, just to add on to that last question you asked, what changed for me? It was ignoring the noise of social media, number one. Learning a simplified version of these institutional concepts, because I took something away from it at least, but then also in the end of it, putting it all together and just being comfortable with the system that I've got, and executing it religiously, and again putting it into one pair, one session, instead of trading 100 different pairs. Because if there wasn't one pair in, let's say, GBP USD, I would then jump over to GBP JPY. No, that sometimes just means today's not a trading day. Today's not a day where you need to trade. I know a lot of other people have opinions to this, but for me, what's worked the best is simplifying it all down to one pair, one session, and that's New York session primarily. I have now taken trades in other sessions, which have been swung over into other sessions, but primarily gold is the one pair that I like to trade. It moves the most, it's very volatile, and I found the most success in that. Hitting leaderboards consistently from there, doing over 6 figures in payouts, and I think now, inshallah, I'm on track to do around 500,000 by the end of this year, or maybe going to next year, and then really scaling up from there, really, with more funding.
In terms of that, in terms of the scaling of the capital, well, before that, let's talk about gold. So, like, gold-wise, what sort of risk are you doing in your trades?
So as I've gone over the years, I've stopped risking very little. I've understood that without any risk, there's no reward, and that's something I fully live by right now, because if at the end of the day I believe in my system, like QBank says, what's the point of risking 1% if you believe in your system? And
he says 1% is for bitches.
Yeah, okay.
That's what he said.
I believe it.
People got pissed.
It's true, because I think with 0.5%, 0.25%, let's just say, because I think 1% on a 300k isn't too bad of a risk, but like going so minute, I mean, it's different for everybody, but again, for me, for those of you who want to see results, and those of you who want to like, see money like that, you're not going to see money like that by risking so little. You have to put some sort of risk behind it. That's an element of life in business. I think you just can't escape and bypass. So take the risk, right? I don't know why everyone fears it so much. On the other side of risk, there's reward. And if you put that risk behind it, you will start to see some reward. And for me, I simply have lowered the frequency of trades, probably by 10 times the amount of what I used to a couple of years ago. I take 1 or 2 trades in a single week, right? But if I'm trading, I'm risking around 2 to 3% sometimes. But I'm taking that one trade on a 300k account or a 200k account. That's around $4,000 to $6,000 of risk, and I'm gaining a 1 to 1 or a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Usually, it's actually now my risk reward's actually gone higher now as I've developed my edge more and more, and I've seen the tendency with what the market likes to do when it gets to a certain point. But again, my risk is around 2 to 3%. That's equivalent of around $4,000 to $6,000, and
Would you do that
from
the original balance as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep my risk all the way the same. Even if I'm in drawdown, I keep it the same. And I've actually found a weird thing: when I'm in drawdown, I tend to trade even better. I think maybe because I feel like
Need to win.
Yeah, I need to win, and I just don't care about it. And I just, there's been times where I was down like around $10,000 one day. The next day, I took a trade, made $24,000, and I secured it for a payout. And I was on leaderboard as a bonus. So, things can work out if you just stick to the plan. And I think changing your risk and changing different variables is a big mistake a lot of traders make. Your arm multiple. You know the amount of average pips you like to take.
Most people
catch.
don't.
Yeah, true.
That's the
they don't.
Right, I feel like when it comes to the whole debate about risk, a lot of it comes from that you risking say 2 to 3% a trade. Some people are going to sit there and be like, "That's too much. That's gambling." Right? That's what they're going to sit there and say. But the reality is, they didn't listen to what you said first, right? They just listened to that soundbite. Maybe it's my fault because that might go out as a reel by itself, right?
Yeah.
But they're not listening to what you said before that, though, which was you back tested, so you know your data.
Exactly.
Right? So the confidence to do that comes from the fact that you know your data.
Exactly.
But then equally as well, you said you only take 1 to 2 trades a week. While not most people, but the people who more than likely would argue with that, I would imagine, are probably taking 5, 6, 7 trades in a week.
Yeah.
So essentially you're taking the same risk.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. If they're risking 1%
Exactly.
and you're taking just 2 trades,
Yep.
in the end you've taken the same risk.
Yeah.
But the difference might be that you're taking high probable selves, and they're taking low probable
Yeah,
selves.
and they feel like they're doing something productive by trading more.
Mhm.
You know, when I found out less is more, I never looked back really from that point onwards. It's the biggest game changer for me, and people need to understand, like, I had an idea. I don't know if this is like, I don't know if it's been implemented before, but
Let's take a break for a minute, guys, because I want to tell you about the #1 prop firm in the world, and that is Alpha Capital. Let's get straight to the point. You want a prop firm that consistently pays out, that has its own strong infrastructure, meaning its own technology and its own brokerage, which means that you get the best platforms to trade on, as well as having institutional experience as its founders and leaders. Now, let's just quickly look at the Discord here for the payout proofs. You're talking 6 payout there, 7 payout there, first payout. Look at all these payouts in the Discord. Make sure you go check that out. Now, you can get 20% off all your challenges with Alpha Capital using the code RIZ. That's capital RIZ. 20% off thanks to the podcast and thanks to Alpha Capital. Go secure your challenge today. Now, Alpha Capital has also joined the future space. Alpha Futures has launched and is here today. Now, they are revolutionizing the space by offering the very best drawdown in the entire industry, including the 100K accounts and 150K accounts that they offer, and that's at 4%. Absolutely insane. On top of that, Alpha Futures does not trail your equity high or low for the day, meaning that if a trade goes back to break even, you do not have a chance of losing your account because of that. That's thanks to Alpha Futures. On top of which, they have no buffer zones or 60-90 rules on withdrawals like other prop firms in the future space have. Alpha Futures is here to revolutionize the space with the same team behind Alpha Cap. So make sure you use my code again, RIZ, all capitals RIZ, for 20% off your futures challenge. The links for both the cap and the futures will be in the description below. Check them out. Secure your challenges with the very best. Alpha Capital and Alpha Futures. Now let's get back to the episode.
I was like, what if there was a prop firm or something out there where they limited the amount of trades you took? I would love to see the data behind that. If, I don't know, traders were limited to take 5, I don't know, let's pick a number, 5 or 10 trades in a month, how selective of their trades would they be? And how, good would their results be from that point onwards? And I think that's something that people need to implement. I think it's a challenge for people to try and take 5 trades in a month, right? Or even try and sit on a payout when they've secured it for 2 weeks. I've done that multiple times, but there's been times where I've decided to, go against my rules. I've been up $10, $12, $15,000, and I think, you know what, I need to hit number 1 on the leaderboard. I've heard my friends say this to me a few times. Oh, you can hit, 20K, you can go number 1. And I thought, I'm securing it for payout. Then be that one occasion where I decide to, go off the rails a little bit and risk my full profit that I've made and end up, emotionally just losing the account. So these are the outside noises. But at the end of the day, when you have that data behind you, when you can have that confidence to say, what, it's done X, Y, and Z multiple times over the course of the last 6 months to a year, and I've journaled that, I've got the data behind me, I can simply now go ahead and put that risk behind it. And if it loses, it loses. But I know that, again, if I was to apply that again, there's a chance of it winning, and that's me reaping the rewards then. Instead of me risking like 1% and doing, 3, 4, 5 trades in a single week, I can just take one selective trade, snipe it, and be done with my day and secure that payout and move on to my next account.
I love that. You need to start trading, like streaming, I think.
I swear.
You've got the name for it,
I know.
and when you hit it, you have like a soundboard or something. That would be great.
Jokes.
It's funny you say that about the prop firm thing, right? Prop firm wise, it's really interesting because I don't know. Like, I see some prop firms doing some rules recently, which seems like they want traders to do well, right? And it's not that, again, like speaking in this way isn't to say like, oh, prop firms are against you. It's just like they have a particular business model, right? So I don't know how it all works in the sense that people talk about monetizing data, but I've not seen anyone actually monetizing data, so I don't know. But funny story for you. There was this was before like the whole prop firm era, right? There was this guy who approached me and he was like, oh, we're trying to set up this thing where we copy people, like reverse trading basically. But the aim of the game is it's like a competition thing, right? So they'll give accounts to everyone. And your goal was to lose as much as possible.
Okay.
Right?
Your goal is to lose as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more the person who lost the most would win like £1,000. Second person would win 500, so on. People struggle to lose. You understand? Right? So eventually, think about it this way: people would then start taking the opposite of what they thought they were seeing, and then they would lose. And then they would win.
Yeah, they win. You go to the win.
But then lose the competition.
Yeah.
Right. But it was the reverse of of a prop, essentially, because it would be like you can't win more than 10%.
Yeah.
If then you're out of the competition, right? But the whole ethos was like, oh, if people lose more, all we have to do then is we have to just copy their trades the opposite way and we'll win, right? But then everyone was just winning,
Yeah.
So there's something there, the human psychology.
There's a gap in the market there somewhere.
There's something that needs to be figured out there. But it was just so interesting because even I was part of this competition. I remember I won once. I was like, really? I won because I lost loads. But then a lot of the times I struggled to win because this was at the point where I wasn't profitable.
That's trippy.
But I would struggle to win the competition because I was winning then. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Right? So essentially, really, all people really have to do is whatever they want to do, do the opposite of that, and you'll win. If that makes sense.
Best advice.
If you want to buy, sell instead, right? And if you think that, if you're in this competition where you need to sell because you think that's going to be the losing thing, buy instead, But yeah, like that, I just thought that'd be funny.
That's crazy.
This whole like data thing, and I think, but really, what you said though, I think off the back of that is less is more. Like if you quality over quantity, like all these sayings that apply really to life in general, right? Like, people talk about friends and all that sort of stuff. It really is true, and there's a reason why it's true. And I think maturity, experience, and then doing the work. And what I mean, maturity and experience, people can understand. Right? Experience is you're doing it long enough. Maturity is just being more mature about your trades and as a person, as a trader. But experience is where people are like, no, experience, we said, doing the work. What does that break down to? Is what you've said there.
Yep.
The data. You know what I mean? I can't stress enough. I think the data is so important.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not about just being able to say, oh, here are 10 trades I took or 50 trades I took. It's not even just about like, oh, this is my my average winning streak or whatever. No, it's literally about just having the confidence off the back of it, right?
Basically, yeah.
Knowing that, okay, I've had on average over 100 trades, I've lost 3 in a row. It happens quite often.
Yeah.
So next time you lose 3 trades in a row, are you going to be as edgy and emotional?
Exactly.
Probably not, because you've seen it. It's a normal thing. Versus if you don't know that data and you don't have that understanding, you're always going to get emotional after a couple of trades, when you've lost or even won. Same with winning streak. If you've noticed that you win 5 trades in a row on average, next time you win 5 trades in a row, you're going to be like, okay,
exactly.
Now I need to calm down.
Yeah, exactly. For me, that was the case where I would. It's weird how I secure these payouts. It's literally from the original balance, take 1 trade, done, secure for payout. That's like it's for me. I see trading more frequently as more risk. So with that being in mind, and if I'm aiming usually for 5 to 6% on an account, and sometimes I'll go above it, sometimes I'll be a little bit below it.
Just does it naturally, right?
Yeah. So I just feel like when I secure that, when I make sort of profit at 5% on a 200k like around, I don't actually look at percentages that much. I look at it just for money. I mean, we are at the end of the day all trading for the money at the end of the day. So I look at it as if like I want to make a minimum of like $10,000 on each account, and if I can do that consistently, then bi-weekly payouts, I can do that again. And I think best month I had was around a $70,000 month, and that's because I was just on a very good win streak at the end of the day. I was taking the trade I was supposed to, and I wasn't doubling up on the payouts I'd already secured. I know a lot of people, it works for some people where they maybe make a little bit of money and then they risk it and then they go leverage it higher. But for me, I'm very comfortable with just taking 1 or 2 trades, getting to that profit target of mine, which is mental in my head, securing that for payout, going again 2 weeks later.
What about in terms of, like you said, you reached about $1 million in capital. Is there any thoughts of 2, 3?
See, there is, but I'm comfortable where I am, and I've noticed maybe it's just a trial and error thing, but I've tried to scale my funding a little bit, and I've secured another account, but then I've disrespected a lot of other accounts, or one other account from my current portfolio.
You think it's like a bandwidth thing?
Yeah.
Rather than like a mental psychology money thing.
Yeah, I think I tend to like just go, degen on one of the accounts and over leverage or something, thinking it doesn't really matter, and then I kind of just like stop at that point. So I know I have the ability to make, to get a lot more in funding, but for me, I'm just very comfortable with where I am in terms of what is generating for me consistently. And again, rotating my accounts instead of just putting them all into Trade Copier, I found much more success rotating them out. Again, diversifying the risk as well. I have 1 high risk, 1 medium risk. I don't really do low risk, but just 2 different medium risks accounts. And with that, it's very comfortable. If I ever do lose 1 account, I've got 2 more to back it up. And that's another thing a lot, again, social media will always tell you to put things onto that 1 Trade Copier, but there's so much risk behind that. I mean, don't forget, it takes time for people to get funded nowadays. For me, I honestly have decided to take challenges the very high risk approach. I know some prop firms don't like this and things, and people in general don't like to do this, but that's because my rules that I have in place to do that is making sure that I can afford at least 3 to 5 more of those accounts comfortably before it's before it affects me negatively financially, right? So I tell people that the challenge phase is something you want to pass and get past as fast as possible. You're not getting paid for that, right? A lot of these prop firms nowadays, I've seen them talking about, spend time, be slow on the challenge phase. I remember old, like the Funded Trader, to congratulate people that would spend 2 months on the phase 1. I'm looking at that thinking, I feel sorry for that trader. Like, they've spent 2 months on that phase 1, for example, right? And then you don't know if they're going to even pass phase 2. Let's say they've got funded and it took them 3 months to get funded. So much time has been wasted there, right? Time is money again. And honestly, it hurts me to see that, because now at this point, they've got 3 months of time, not wasted, I would say, but time where they didn't even get paid for that, right? And now when they go into the funded account, they must be feeling something like, oh my God, I'm on the funded stage right now, feeling some sort of crazy feelings.
Blow it.
Exactly, yeah. And not only will they just blow it, but they'll just be trading off the back of the thought of like, okay, you know what? All those 3 months of hard work, I've not been paid for it. Let me just get that money back or whatever, somewhat to that extent. And that will lose them to blow the account. So now that's 3 months wasted. Whereas me, for example, okay, maybe I blow 3 accounts in a week, right? Or 3 accounts in a month of challenges. But that 4th account that I get, okay, I've got it now and I've secured a payout for it by trading my style, my aggressive style. And I made back that cost times, 5, 10, the amount. Literally just had a student the other day, one of my close friends. I don't really mentor people like that, but me being in Dubai, a couple of months ago, my friends were seeing me, taking these trades on gold in front of them, making $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in front of them. And one of my friends who'd actually, funny story with him, he'd actually went ahead and scratched the Ferrari. So it was around a $9,000, $10,000 payment he had to make, to make that. I said, the fastest way you can generate this capital is by prop firms. Everyone else was thinking of other ideas, selling this, selling that. I said, if you put $5,000 aside to put into prop firms, I believe with my help you can get funded and get your money back, basically, or generate enough capital to continue from that point onwards. Believe it or not, we all documented it. It's going to be on my YouTube soon, hopefully. And literally.
What is it?
Yeah, I know. It's just I've got a massive backlog of content.
Do you think it'll be out by now?
By now, no. Give it another month or so. I think it'll end up coming out. But basically, I think
you get it out, man. What's going on?
I know. I'm waiting on it. It's just production team, editing, all that. It's just going to take a long time. I'm a perfectionist. Yeah. You see the quality, hopefully, coming soon. But overall, with that guy, good friend of mine, he took the risk. First challenge, he failed. Second challenge, he failed. Third challenge, he passed. Using high risk, by the way. My style is taking 1 trade to pass phase 1, 1 trade to pass phase 2. And very simply, on that third challenge, he passed it, got funded, and to date, he's generated over $15,000 in payouts. And he's a beginner. He didn't even know about gold. He only knew about crypto. He's like a hodler, whatever you call them, just buying and holding.
Losing money.
Yeah. So I'd put him onto the right thing. That's it. He's literally. I've never seen that from any other influencer nowadays. And it's all documented,
cool,
legit.
That's like that Greg Zecker.
Yeah.
You ever seen his ads?
Yeah, the Rolls Royce guy.
He's like, I'm gonna teach my gardener to trade. It's all staged.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's
really
crazy.
Cool, yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
You need to make content, bro.
For sure.
I always say it, like, I know some people, they have their opinions about content creators or real traders not making content, but like, if the real traders don't make content, who's left?
Exactly.
Right? Who's left then? And then what? Then where's your argument?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I think you would make it good. I remember you have a vlog, if I'm not mistaken, out from a while ago now. I imagine. Did really well as well.
Yeah.
And, it was good. It was good fun. It was like, the day in the life.
Basically.
Right? Day in the life. People will think, that's not the day in life. But the reality is, how old are you again?
Now I'm 23.
23, yeah. So like, you're young, you're smashing out the prop firms, smashing the skill set, done the hard work already. That's what people will ignore, right? They'll just see that and be like, this is lifestyle. But it's not. It's like, that is your lifestyle now. But you need to see the clips of you sweeping the floor, wearing the masks at the warehouse, etc. Like, if you don't see that and you're only trying to look at one thing, and it's not like you're hiding that, because I've seen that you've shown it as well and you've explained it today.
100%.
And that's where, again, it's like I don't know what it is. Do you think it's the psychology of the human being where they're just like, look, this is what he's doing right now. He must have always. That's why those comments come. Of like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
He's always been rich.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I have to like express to people that I'm literally just like everybody else. I was that guy working in call centers, doing sales, doing sweeping the floor, shop floor assistant, stacking shelves. That was me. I'm not no one special. All I had was a vision and a plan and a goal, and all I did was execute every single day. Didn't care about the time, didn't care how long it'll take. I just believed that it'd work. And I tell this to people that have a brand nowadays or just content or have a skill set. Just keep doing that. Keep doing it. Do it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Maybe it won't pay you for those 4 months, but that 5th month when you decide to put something out there, monetize it, or, that 5th month when you decide to keep going at it, that might just make back all your costs and you might go, crazy with it and make back everything plus a lot more.
What do you think to personal accounts there?
So that's the other thing I was going to ask you as well, what your opinion is on it. I need some convincing, with personal accounts, because the prop firm model is just so beneficial right now. I don't see why anyone wouldn't take advantage of that.
100%.
And I understand, yes, building a track record and all these other things, but when I see an opportunity, I try to leverage it as much as possible
100%.
until it's gone. And if it's gone, okay, then I'll think about something else, because my time is special. And if I'm dedicating time onto a prop firm account and I can see that it's generating a crazy return percentage-wise, I'm not trying to get off that. I'm trying to rinse that as much as possible, milk it, and then if everything hits the fan and everything goes down, there's no more prop firms ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then there's personal accounts. Yes, it might help me build a track record, but I don't know. I need some convincing, in fact.
No, I think you are right. Like, your thinking is correct. Like, at the end of the day, you're able to leverage it from the very beginning of your journey, start of your journey in terms of profitability. You didn't have capital. That sort of capital to trade personally, right? And that's where a lot of people are. I just had someone just before you who's on the pod. He's been trading for 27 years, and he's obviously always traded personal. But one thing that has changed from back then to now is that if you wanted to trade back then, you could, but you'd need money. Like, you'd need 10, 20, 30, 40K to be able to trade.
Yep.
And more than likely, you'd still lose it. So really, it was reserved for people who had more professional jobs, who had the capital to be able to do that. Well, now, even just putting your prop firms aside, you can open a brokerage account with 250 quid. So it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
But prop firms has great benefits in terms of leveraging, but then also the rule set as well, forcing a lot of good risk management principles as well. And I think they're not going anywhere. I think some are, obviously. Some have already. Some have already gone. But there are definitely some that probably are still going, and some that are going to fix some things and hopefully be stronger. Then some are doing really well. Some have got the good infrastructure already, which is great. And I think definitely always do, as long as they're there, keep using them.
Exactly.
Why not? You're already getting paid, right? And anyone who has the skill set, most of all, will get paid very handsomely and do very well with low risk. But what I will say is that you should have a personal as well. Why not?
It's not harm. I've already set aside like around $100,000 to.
But I think you should
invest in that.
Because not even about track record. It's just for you personally. So think about if you got 100. All I would say though is with the personal, potentially, just to start off with, maybe, and this is me being my personal opinion. Okay. It's not right or wrong. Is reduce the risk on the personal to begin with, just because it's not demo, it's real, and there might be some psychological things there. Right, but at the end of the day, if again, this is what it comes down to. Your data, your system, etc. So if you know your data and you know your system, and obviously your journey in terms of risk to reward on the prop challenges, because the only thing with prop, I will say, and it was someone else said it to me. I can't remember who it was. I think it was the Darwin X guy. The thing with prop is it can convince some traders that they're profitable when in reality they're not.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Because let's say you have 100k accounts, and you've blown 10 of them, right? In reality, you've blown 5k for paying for the challenge.
Yep.
And then the last one you make 10 grand on, right? After profit splits, maybe you make 8 grand. So now you're 3k in profit. The reality, though, in terms of trading, is you actually 90k down. Yeah. Because you've lost 10,000 10 times. Yep. And then you just made 10 grand. So that person's not profitable. So only you, what I'm getting back to is only you will know obviously what your model looks like in reality. Yep. And I'm sure it's profitable. So then you'll know what to do on a personal. Yeah. But I think personal, bro, is the best way, because at the end of the day, it depends on your goals as well, I'd say, actually. Yeah. Putting that aside, I'd say it's on your goals. So like, if you want to be someone who's managing tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and so on and so forth, and you want to get people to invest into you and you manage their capital, then of course personal
Of
is
course,
the way.
yeah, no, I've had like people reach out to me already,
Yeah, I can imagine,
funds and things like this, and people, investors in themselves directly. So in that sense, yeah, I'm more than happy to manage certain capital. But to be completely honest, trading is a very stressful business, and I don't see myself doing it forever. I do see myself trading here and there. I don't mean like full time in terms of professionally on a certain super high level. I think trading is a vehicle for you to generate certain capital and invest that into more reliable businesses and more solid sort of infrastructure and something more bricks and mortar you can say, or something that just has more something's more established. Like for example, myself right now, AI is a massive thing, right? A lot of people have been talking about AI is the future, but how many people are actually putting their money where their mouth is and making action in that that industry really? So that's another project, a few projects that I have going in there. Robots, EAs, there's things like this, there's algorithms, there's indicators, AI in general, right? There's so much, such a big avenue there to be explored, and I think that is somewhere I want to go into a little bit more and invest also again into my brand, my content, my education, because the amount of lives that I've helped change in terms of my education, it's crazy, and I sometimes have to like remind myself, how much this person's doing, what levels he's at right now compared to where he was a few months ago. So again, at the end of the day, I want to leave somewhat of a legacy. I want to leave something that people can remember. Okay, Sniper Adz said this X, Y, and Z. Let's teach it to this person, and that at the end of the day is knowledge getting passed down, and that's like the best thing I can ask for. I want to change lives. I want to help people, and have my name somewhat have some sort of value. And yeah, like the other little projects I have, where I want to use this capital to invest, because again, the prop firm space, the prop firm model, only investing a couple of $1,000 or $1,000 even to make tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars back. That's free liquid cash now you can put into anything you wanted to, and basically into your hobbies, even like my streaming setup. If I want to go down that route, I can invest into there. And overall, that's the kind of avenue I want to go down. A lot of people hate on algorithms and robots and EAs and things like that, but there's a massive, I've worked with a lot of people closely for the last 1.5 to 2 years right now, and we've developed some very, very interesting things. And I used to have a computer science sort of background. I was always into programming. So again, having that capital allows me to explore those sort of dreams and put them into reality. People always say that money isn't happiness and all these other things, but money allows you to invest into things that will make you happy, and that for me is that programming, coding, developing things that can be passive for you, making income for you passively, all these other avenues. It's just very exciting times with AI, with the way technology is advancing, and I think you need to take advantage of that now while you still can. Because again, I feel I have this sort of, like rush before. I had it with the prop firms. I had it before the whole saga happened with the drama. I said to everyone around me, the boys I was with, it's like, guys, you need to make use of the leverage we have available to us, because I think something's going to happen where we're not going to be allowed this, or something's going to happen. I don't know what it was. Suddenly 5-10 prop firms, whatever it was, shut down. MetaQuotes did that big thing, and that's when it all went. Because I used to see people on leaderboards, $40,000 in payout on profit, 50,000, 30,000. Not that $10,000 or 50,000 is bad, which I was at, but I thought, what, there's money there to be made. Let's make use of it. And then something happened. So I feel like the same thing's happening now. And also just looking at a few of the people in the space. There was that Owen Morton, who I really like the podcast of, and I learned a lot of things from these people that have extremely high net worth and extremely just have a big sort of market share of this sort of industry. There's a lot to be explored, and you need to take advantage now before the time runs out, really.
No, that's a good point actually as well. Like, there's so much more than just, you can be in the trading industry without trading.
Exactly.
Owen's a prime example of that. And there's actually so much more in terms of solutions. Because how do you make money at the end of the day? It's value of some kind. Except for trading. Trading is the one thing where you're not really providing value.
Exactly.
But saying that, there's still such a level of skill set, internal skill set that is required. So it's not like you just do money for nothing.
Exactly,
right? Yeah. But aside from that, there's value. You have to provide value in some kind of way. And if you can find anything within the trading space that provides value, like even with Owen, it's like technology, it's APIs, it's payment processing. People don't really think along them.
No, exactly. That system analysis is what I learned a lot in university, because I don't forget I was a university student at the full time, warehouse work at the same time. So a lot of my mind was just thinking about, how is this person making money? And that's another thing people need to take away in life, in entrepreneurship, in business. You find someone who's successful, you find out, okay, he's got X, Y, and Z. How did he get there? Work backwards now. And that was just another thing. Systems analysis is a massive, massive thing. And I used to think, university is just for, NPCs, waste of time. I never thought I'd say this, because I just again thought entrepreneurship and being a solo businessman trading.
We talked about.
Exactly, yeah. So as I've been in the trading space now for the last year and a half, 2 years, very profitably hitting leaderboards, things like this, and making trading my main source of income. Then as I've networked and I've understood the perspective of more and more people and content creators out here, and I'm seeing the business angle they're putting onto it, and I studied business management back in university. Now I'm starting to realize, okay, there's a whole other world out there which I can capitalize on. And yes, I could have done the thing that a lot of other people would have done, a lot of other influencers who would have maybe, and people still do it to this day. I know a lot, I'm not going to name and shame, but I know a lot of people that are using results of theirs that are from way back, 2-3 years ago, or maybe 1 or 2 good trades. And to this day, they're still using that as their sort of, authenticity claim and their verification claim. And that for me is just like, thank God I didn't go down that route. I took the harder route, the route that requires you to be a bit more braver. And that was to, generate consistent income from trading, a good amount as well, over the last 6 months to a year.
Now, it's interesting you say that because some people say to me, like, why do you keep getting these prop traders on? They're not real traders, all this stuff. And I always find it interesting because it's like the reason I do it, I don't try and focus on it, but it's easier to focus on it. It's simply because it's verifiable. Like you can verify that this guy's
it's
had,
real.
especially like someone like yourself, is like consistent payouts, like JCap, consistent payouts, Even if people have done it like where they've had huge payouts, right? And they're doing the risk to reward model, but they're honest about it. That's cool. Like it's verified that they've had the money and then they've explained how they got the money. You know? So that's why I do that. But then equally, at the same time, there are some people who might get a big payout once. And I have had 1 or 2 of those on. And I normally try and say it to them. I try and say like, hey, you've had this one time, the statistics say, or what people say is that, after this, people normally lose. And I say it on the pod, but maybe it's not my place to say that. I don't know. But I'm trying to avoid that moving forward because I really am trying to like really put a focus on, and people would have seen by the guests we've had on when this comes out, like we've had the Market Wizards author, Jack Schwager, we've had Chris Caffey on, ex-JP Morgan, we've had Charlie Burton on, we've had who else we had on? We've had a bunch of people. We've had some
crazy value.
We've had some crazy traders on.
And that's what I like to see sometimes, just a different angle in the entrepreneurship business, in the business world, because ultimately I feel like that's where everything kind of goes after the trading, after you do well in crypto, do well in stocks, whatever it might be. Eventually all funnels back down to the business, side of things. And seeing that value is very, very insightful, 100%.
How does it feel though for you, going from making £60 a day, £100 a day, long hours, strenuous kind of shit jobs, to making 300,000 plus?
It's it feels deserved, but it feels I can't really complain. It's the best feeling ever, to be able to not look at your bank account when you're ordering Uber Eats or when you're booking a flight or whenever you're just taking trips or do whatever you want. That's like incomparable feeling. Like the stress I used to have when I used to like just again order food and look at my bank account and things like this. That's just something that I hate so much. And I feel like when you hate something so much and your why is so big, that's when you'll make the biggest change, and that's what will lead you to success at some point. But it's an overwhelming feeling, and I feel like I'm not. I used to listen to people on interviews and Instagram, whatever. They'd hit like $100,000 in profit of something. Maybe it's a business or whatever it might have been, and then they'd sit there and tell the interviewer, whoever, the host, that wasn't enough for me and I needed more. And I think how greedy, like how weird of them. Like that's so strange. Like why are you not happy with 100K? But being in that position right now, I understand that there's always another mountain to climb, and that hunger within you has to maintain, or else you will lose it all. Like the same way you got there is just, you can fall faster than the speed you got up there. So you need to be very, very careful. And I think I need to just really push myself beyond that 7-figure mark to keep this level of happiness up and maintain it.
No, I couldn't agree more. And it's so interesting you say that, because like goes to show that when we talked about maturity earlier, that's what it looks like. It's just a case where one time you had a belief or a certain thought, a certain opinion, and then that's allowed to change. Through experience, through getting to certain milestones. Because a lot of the time, well, not a lot of the time, pretty much all of the time, our opinions are based off our perception, right, and what we've lived, our experience at that time, and therefore it's allowed to change, because once you then experience something different or go to a different level, or one of the best examples, and I think probably why traveling is so important for people, is when you travel, right? You have a perspective about, like a lot of people with Dubai, a lot of English people, for example, with Dubai, is they assume Dubai is like this strict place.
Yeah.
They have to wear like loads of clothing and they can't hold their partner's hand and all this because of the news, right?
Yeah.
But that's their perceptions based on that. That's what they think. But then it's so funny because sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, I'm going to Dubai. Can I do this? Can I do that? I'm like, this. You go there, you'll see. Yeah. And then when they go there, then they realize, right? And it's not to say Dubai is this amazing place, for example. It is incredible, but that's all down to personal opinion.
Yeah.
But those perceptions completely switch once you've then experienced it. And that's just like a bit more of a, I'd say, an elementary example. But it's great what you've said though in terms of like the change in that mindset.
Yeah.
In terms of just going back to one point because we kind of went over it. In terms of the personal account, I think it's good for personal account. I think it's good to have one, regardless of the goal of what you're looking to do. Reason being though is just because with the prop firms, I don't think they're going anywhere personally. Okay. But at the end of the day, their rules, profit splits, their timeline, right? That's the only reason I say have a good personal account. Is that you have your own timeline, your own rules. Obviously, still keep the rules, right? But your own rules. You withdraw when you want. You compound when you want.
Yep.
You stop trading it whenever you want with no stress of deactivation, anything like that.
Yeah, true.
That's the only reason I say it. Because I think it's good. Because at the end of the day, let's say, God forbid, anything did happen to prop firms. They all went away, right? You'd rather ahead of time have that skill set of like trading personal capital. You know what I mean? And because you have an edge, what do you have to lose? Right? Other than, fair point, as you said, is capital gets tied up in that account, right? But the beauty is, if you ever need it, you just withdraw. It's almost as liquid as owning gold, for example.
Basically,
you just go and sell the gold, right?
No, for sure.
Or owning stock in a sense, right? But yeah, my suggestion would be to have one.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking into it. I've had many people tell me about that. I think it's just more this case of people going down the route of saying, build a track record and become a fund manager. That's not put me off really. It's just like that's not my goal. So I'll stick with prop firms, 100%. Rather than just go down that route.
100%. I think I think literally just having that personal power and just being prepared for any scenario. I think that's it. Like regardless of route. Because at the end of the day, what's the worst case scenario? You've got this skill set, this edge. You're putting it on a personal account. You're just making more money. That's
true.
It. And the way I would see it as well, really for you, would be that you don't necessarily need to withdraw from that account. I would say withdraw until you break even on the account, right? So then all the money's in there is risk free. Then you just try compounding it.
True.
So you never know. You may end up having a 500k account, personal, And before you know it, again, perception-wise, what we just talked about, you might be like, yo, forget these prop firms. I got 500k here.
True.
We're going to get to 2-3 million.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And, and the beauty is just both. Yeah. It's like, that's what I love about trading, though. It's like there's so many options.
It's a big
It's like you trading gold, for example. Why don't you trade futures gold, Like there's so many options there.
Yeah.
Not that you should, but like there's so many options. I know futures firms are like so different.
Yeah, I've heard of
so different. I've seen some people like apparently kill it, but then a lot like the rules are just crazy.
Yeah, no.
I've never looked into it, but I love it. But in terms of prop firm wise, what would you say? Because not only have you been trading yourself and of people around you as well, but then also students wise, what would you say the biggest issue you've seen people have when it comes to trading prop firms?
Issue in terms of
like negative, like something they're not doing right, like the way they do it or treat it or think about it, it's just causing them harm. Like
I keep seeing, people overcomplicate, and it sounds, and people are watching thinking, what's he talking about? Overcomplicate? How can I simplify something? Look, at the end of the day, if you're selling from a resistance, you're selling at a high. At the end of the day, you want to buy low, sell high, right? If you have this sort of system in mind, then your brain at that, just from hearing that, will simplify things to a certain level. If you put too much stress on these extra variables, that you're hearing from social media and other mentors that are just extra for no reason, right? That's what's going to cause you to force something that you're not really capable of carrying out. So for me, my sort of trading style, my typical trade is very, very simple. Let's just say, for me, I always start off, no matter how advanced you are in trading, I define to all people who are learning with me what an uptrend is, what a downtrend is. So a simple higher high, higher low, higher high. That's a 3-leg extension. It's one of my favorite concepts, right? All you need to be profitable to an extent, right, is this one or two setups. I have a break and retest, or you can call it a break and retrace, and a bounce play. That's it. I only have 2 in my playbook. I can do like a few more. I've learned a lot of ICT strategies in the past. London kill zone strategy, ABC, whatever. But these 2 are my favorite: break and retest, and a bounce play. And for example, with the break and retest, all you need is to understand that a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high, there's a 90% success rate with the market then coming back down, making that higher low, and then continuing in that direction it started. Maybe it doesn't break the previous high, maybe it does, but you need to catch a piece of that pie, right? A piece of that move. And very simply, you just pull out the Fibonacci, right? You look for some liquidity above the areas of interest, and that can be your 61, your 70.5, your 79. And then if you have, along with that, these institutional levels, the FEGs, the breaker blocks, the EMAs even, right? Whatever it might be, a trend line. These are all supporting confluences you can have, right? And very simply, you need to catch that trade around that area in somewhat of a discounted area. I don't know if you call it discounted or premium, I don't really know. But it's a buying at a low, right? You're buying at somewhat of a discounted price. If you have, like, let's say, a phone price from 0 to the 1 of that Fibonacci, the price was at £0, then it was £100, and then the price is now dropped to 60% of that value, right? So now it's worth £40, right? Or £30. You're buying it for that much, and now the price is rocketing high. You think of it as like a shop analogy. You know, shops don't have sales on for a long period of time. They're kind of quick, right? Flash sale. So that's the same sort of analogy I use when I'm looking at the markets. When it comes into these areas of interest, these FEGs, these order blocks, these Fibonacci levels, right? It's going to usually have a quick entry there, and that's where you get those sniper entries. So that's all you need, right? And if you find a bit of liquidity, you find the area of interest with supporting support lines, daily, 4 hour, time of day on that specific pair. Time of day for me usually is New York session around. Well, I have a few hotspot times where I've seen the market give me very nice clean moves after it's built some structure. And that's very simply 10 a.m., 12 p.m. UK time, 1:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 and 5 p.m. These are like my 5 favorite times to look for opportunities to trade. And along with that, there are sometimes red folder news. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm giving a whole lot of jargon, but it's really not when I simplify it down.
Giving the alpha.
Yeah, no. When you see the sort of illustrations, maybe on this next reel or whatever, it's very, very clean, very, very simple. At the end of the day, you're just buying at a higher low, or you're selling at a lower high, and you're just trading that into the next level of resistance or the next level of support. And I see too many people, back to your question, to answer that, where's it going wrong for them? They're not even looking at it from that perspective of buying low, selling high. They're just straight into the order block, straight into the FEGs and these, I don't know, SIBI and all these other new things I've heard. It's a whole other world, right? And they're just forgetting the basics. And I think that's the number one thing. When you remember the basics and you remember to catch, put your stop loss below the low, right? Where to a point where if it was to hit that stop loss, the trade idea is now wrong. So if I have a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high, and the price was to now breach this previous low, there's a very high chance now the market potentially is downtrending or consolidating, but at the end of the day, it's very unlikely for now the market to continue higher after it's breached that previous level. So when you can identify market structure, when you can identify the trend on the higher time frame, and then use multiple time frame correlation, like I teach, it's art. It gets to a point where it's beautiful and there's no confusion about it. It's so clean and it's so simple. It just makes sense. And that's how I've transformed traders from beginners to making $15,000, $20,000 in payouts just from like within the first 2 months. So simplicity is key, and people tend to overcomplicate things and they don't look at the overall trend. They don't look at the simplicity of things, buying low, selling high, and they just jump straight into the deep end. And maybe again, it's all because of this blueprint or formula or holy grail that's been advertised to them, and social media, the likes of ICT, giving them this sort of, I don't know, just this sort of prize that they need to, gain in front of them, and that's what leads them astray. So I think come back to your senses, go back to your roots, go back to simplicity, and that'll fix all your problems.
So you need to have a strong foundation, and then you can apply these more complex things
later down,
if you want.
I started off basic. I went down the institutional route. I came back and I mixed them both together, and now it balances out for both traders. I see people coming from the ITT cult who have not found profitability, people that have come from support and resistance that don't find profitability. I mix them both together, and now people are very, very happy.
No, people hopefully taking notes from that. One thing that's going to be interesting is people aren't going to be happy about I take a beginner in 2 months, they're making 15, 20K. But the thing is, again, I'd just like to stress, verified trader with results. And the funny thing is, you back it up. Well, you got the video coming, right? Don't worry.
It's going to be published very soon, and you're going to see the results.
I love it. What I was going to ask you, though, in terms of timeframes wise, we've talked about your strategy. We talked about sort of risk to reward model, risk, everything. In terms of timeframes, though, entry wise, what's sort of the lowest time frame you'll go for entry?
5 minute. My favorite time frame is a 15-minute. Okay. I feel like if traders start to treat the 15-minute time frame with the perspective of that's the main time frame where you're going to be outlining structure on. But if you look at the 4 hour and the 1 hour as almost like the direction for the day, so if you outline structure on the 1 hour and the 4 hour as the daily direction or the direction for the day, and then you look into the 15-minute time frame, when you look into the 15-minute time frame, And using that multiple time frame correlation, you will see a whole different dimension. It's literally the most beautiful thing when you're seeing, let's say, a 1 hour higher high, higher low, higher high on the 1 hour, and now you drop down to the 15-minute time frame. You have now a choice of maybe trading that higher high down into another higher low, because the structure is so clean. In my opinion, I think the 15-minute is just beautiful, and 5-minute you can just take a little couple entries on. But again, I use multiple time frames. I do look at the market on the 1 minute or the 3 minute to just see where the trade's going and how it's reacting off price. But when it comes to my zones, when it comes to my key levels, I'm just entering really off the 15-minute time frame primarily, with the 1 hour and the 4 hour in mind. And that's it. I don't really look at too many of the daily sweeps and the weekly expansions and all these other things. I really don't care about that much. I used to be one of those traders that would go to the monthly time frame, then the weekly, then the daily, and then the 4 hour and read top-down analysis. Yeah, that works to an extent. It works. But for me, when I know the direction of the day by outlining the 4 hour, 1 hour structure, I just simply look on the 15-minute time frame to find my quick intraday trades. And sometimes they expand in my direction for a long time and I can swing them, or sometimes it's a little scalp and it's enough of a 1-to-1, 1 to 2 mainly.
Definitely. When you're in a trade, do you sit and watch it, or do you just set?
So yeah, no, more times than not, I actually try to monitor my trade while I'm in it. I'm not comfortable really just setting it and leaving it and forgetting about it and just sleeping or something. I mean, I do sometimes when I'm very tired in the mornings. I'll see an opportunity, I enter it, go to sleep, wake up and see if it's hit, take profit or stop loss. And that has worked out for me a few times. But yeah, more times than not, I'm just monitoring the trade. And I feel like you have to be on top of it. If you need to manage those, in fact, if anything, monitoring the trade while it's active is probably the most important part of the whole thing. People, I don't know where it's made social media again. People have been talking about enter the trade, go to sleep, go for a walk, whatever. Forget about it and hit take profit. No, I think managing your emotions during the time that the trade's in play is vital. It's it's pivotal to your success. And people that understand that, they will get it, because that is the experience you need to have, right? We all have experience of backtesting. We all have experience of forward testing, paper trading in hindsight. Everything's in hindsight, right? Or before the markets, before you take your trade, you do an analysis. Then when you enter, based on your rule set and your trading plan, I think this is another thing where you need to be the most focused right now, because that's what's going to allow you to manage your emotions and remember to journal that, right? Okay, when the market was in a 1-to-1 or was at halfway to my take profit, I was feeling X, Y, Z. When it was in drawdown of a certain amount, I was feeling like this. Take a note of that mentally. If you don't do it physically on a journal, remember that mentally. You need to get reps of that specific circumstance in as many times as possible for you to be super comfortable when taking trades in the future. For me, when I can now happily put 3 or 4% behind a trade, right, and not worry too much. I know I might be losing $12,000. I might be losing $10,000 on this trade. But you know what? I understand the risk behind it. I've been here before. I've seen red numbers. I've seen accounts blown. I've seen tens of thousands gone in front of me, right? But I've also seen tens of $1,000s in profit, $20,000 in profit, right? So I know what to expect when I execute this trade, and that's the part everyone's missing out. People are just thinking to execute the trade, run away, and then come back. But if you can master the art of staying composed within the trade running, that's where you'll find the most success, because you need to trade when you're most comfortable, and when you're composed and when you're relaxed, that's where your best trades come out. For me, that's been the game changer. I think one of my best trades was $27,000 or $24,000 in a single trade, and I genuinely did not care about the trade. You need to get to a point where, I think because most people think they need to just get to know more in this business, but this business isn't about getting to know more. It's about getting your mind to the point where you're completely detached from the outcome of the trade. So, you're most composed, you're most relaxed, and just executing based on your rule set.
Would you say, how often does that happen for you though? So there's one trade, your best trade sticks out to you with that, but would you say that you're human obviously at the end of the day, so that it's just less so these crazy highs and lows with emotion, it's more so just quite stable, but still there's something there, you still feel good when you
it's got to the point now where I see $15,000, $20,000 I had the other day. I smiled a little bit. Okay, great, good day. But
ordered some food.
Yeah, no, I literally don't. It used to be, I used to celebrate. I'd take a loss. I'd be heartbroken.
Yeah.
But never let losses, get to your heart, and never let wins get to your head. And that's one big thing that I took, just from sport in general as well. I used to play football a lot. So when you apply that into trading, into life, you become a lot more calmer with yourself.
Mhm.
You know, you don't need to exceed anything. You don't need to go below anything. Just chill, be relaxed, be calm, and take it as it goes along. You know, every another day is another trading day. Someone's made $1 million, someone's lost $1 million, someone's made 1,000, someone's lost 1,000. Just be grateful for the position that you're in and take it one day at a time. And yeah, that's just been the biggest game changer for me. Just looking at life and trading from that perspective, really.
I love that. Well, Adz, I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you very much.
It wasn't a short journey.
No.
I know. But it's nice. It's a nice one.
Very
Did you go to
countryside.
Steak Bar?
What time did I go to sleep?
Bar.
No, I didn't go that route. There's a route.
It's the perfect day for it.
Yeah, it was.
It's a very. I don't like that road. Especially, I used to drive it when it would rain. That's fear for my life.
That's scary.
Fear for
That's
my
scary.
life. But I really appreciate you coming down, man, and it's an absolute pleasure. And I respect you
Yeah.
massively as a trader.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me on, man.
And I hope other people, they will, and they do already.
Hopefully.
So yeah, but make sure everyone drop a comment of your biggest takeaway from this episode. The links for Adz will be in the description below. Make sure you hit him up for that video. We want to see his mate scratch the Ferrari first and then make the money after. Message as well, and we'll drop a comment that you want to see Adz on the day trading show, because he rejected me last time. I'm exposing him now. He rejected me last time, but now he sees the vision, I hope. But anyway, there'll be a day trading show playlist on screen. There'll be previous episodes. Hit subscribe, and until next time, take care.